guys, Dorothy here with Done by Dorothy, and we are here today. I thought I would come on. I had somebody ask a couple questions about the last time I dyed paper, and they're like, well, how much do you dye? You know, I'd love to see how much you dye when you do, because, you know, I normally do multiple colors and things like that when I'm doing it. I like to, you know, take a day, designate that day as like my paper dye day, and then when I notice my paper's starting to get low, and then I'll have another day. I don't do 4 or 5 pages this week, or 10, 15 pages this week, and 10 or 15 pages next week. I don't, that's just not my style. I would rather just take a day, dedicate that day, and just go at it, fight and fire, you know, per se, and get it all done. So I will sort of do a walkthrough and sort of show. I'm not going to show every single little thing because it'll be tedious, obviously. So like one thing I do is I buy the 30-piece packs. They're by Dot at the Dollar Tree, and these are, let me pull one out so I can show you. And I leave some white. So like in this instant, I got 2 packs, so I actually have 60. But this is what they look like. And, you know, like I said, they're a buck at the Dollar Tree. So these. So I'll leave so many white. And then I just sort of base it. I sort of know how many I use. So you're going to have to sort of, I guess, I don't know, sort of figure that out for yourself. Or you can just leave them white, you know, dye them at the last time. You can paint these. You can do them with markers, slick sticks. If you gesso, you can do like watercolors, all kinds of things. So, like, since you can't, well, I don't want to really pull these out, but I will. So I do white, and then I do some of my tea dyed, some yellow, blue, and greens, which my greens are sort of a greeny, yellowy, bluey. Pink, these never do quite like you expect them to. They have hints of colors, so I do it sort of as a basic base, and then from there, then I'll go in and add my color, because like even, I mean, the blue did really well, but even there's like patches, or patches. There's like patches, and then, you know, like the green, it actually separates the color, because these are coated. They're like a gloss paper, so they probably would take alcohol inks really well, just because of being, you know, sort of a gloss finish. So I mean, that's always an option. So I just, after I ink them, because they come like this, you know, 30 in a pack, I just sort of slide them in there, and then that sort of gives me a small storage. I can put them in there. I remember where I got them from, you know, so they're easy to work with. So there are those. Then I do, let me grab my ruler because these differ sometimes. Yeah, these are 3x5 index cards. I do the lined. I do the lined because, first off, because and I do the 4x6s the same way. Because if I'm journaling, I want the lines to write on. If I don't want those, if I'm decorating, I can always decorate on this side and leave the blank side on the back if that's what I choose. You know, if I have a decoration and I want to, you know, throw one of the, you know, an index card on the back to sort of cover, you know, then I have that option to use either side. Oh, there's it, and pull it down apparently even when I, and then I just keep them tied up sort of like that, because I think it's easier and it takes up less space. You could put them in a baggie, you could just set them in a box. If you want to set them in a box and pull, it doesn't bother me to take the time to undo them. So I have some darker dyed, some lighter dyed. It just sort of depends on, you know, the color of what I go. So there's my tea dyed ones. I did some yellow, and they're like a really light yellow. This one, the corner actually ripped off, but I kept it because I thought I could always use it as a backing. I did some blue, and the blue turned out gorgeous, of course. My greens again. The color of green that I use, depending on between the heat and everything else, it's sort of green, it's sort of yellow, it's sort of blue. It depends on sort of how you look at it, and I like it like that because then I can sort of play with it. I did pinks, and there's light pink, and there's darker pink, and there's some pink that's so light it almost looks white. So, I mean, there's a variance of those. And then the purple, because of some of the ink that's in the purple, sometimes the heat will affect it and change, you know, colors and add a different color. And I sort of like that because, you know, if I want to just slide this in with, you know, a ribbon on top maybe, or something, a pull tab or something, you know, it sort of already has that aging. By the time I go around and ink the outside edges, it's good to go. So those are those. So I'm going to set this to the side. I'm going to take the time to put it. I'm just going to slide it back in here. And then I did the 4x6s. And again, they sort of react the same as the others. There's the tea dyed, there's the yellow, and so you'll see some areas are really light, some are really dark. It just sort of randomly depends on how the heat affects it. And the blue was pretty there. And then there's that green again. See, I mean, look at that. I mean, that truly looks aged. So, you know, I loved the way the greens come out. You know, look at that. I mean, that looks like it's been in somebody's closet and it's like molded or something, and it's just really cool looking. Now these are my pinks, and my pinks, they look white, and they'll probably look white to you. Find something that's white, truly white. Okay, like this is white. I don't know if you'll be able to tell in the frame. It actually is a baby pink. Which is what I wanted, because I can always do darker pink ink around the outside edges, you know, if I want to darken it up, but I sort of like it lighter. And then the purple, which I don't know if you can see the purple or not, but so there's the 4x6, and these are 4x6 index cards. So, you know, and I did all of these at one setting yesterday, so, you know, so what I do is like, okay, the purple, the pink, the green, and the blue, and the yellow. I used Reinkers. I actually used Stampin' Up! Reinkers because I have a ton of them and I need to use them. Because, you know, I'm trying to switch everything over into archival and, you know, the Tim Holtz colors. And I have tons of Stampin' Up! So I've been using those to dye my paper with. I only have to use maybe 10 to 20 drops in my pan when I'm doing my paper to do the whole amount of paper that I'm doing. So you can sort of play with that and, you know, decide what colors you want. And if you want these exact colors and Stampin' Up! Colors, let me know. And I know that, like, the green is Wasabi. I'm not going to try to guess them off the top of my head again. I can list them in the description box below. I'll just list, I'll make a list of the ones that I use. And then these are guest checks. So I did some of the tea dyed, some of the yellows, and again in the green, nope, that's the blue, and the blues. These are in the greens, and see a lot of that yellow come through on the greens, which I like it though. It adds a lot to it. And then the pinks. And then the purple. So that was those. So I do those, and those are nice to have to decorate. And you know, if I do a journal, say I do a blue journal, and say I don't use the guest checks, I can always use that in, you know, another journal that may not have paper that color. These I just happen to do everything the same, although I usually won't put them in there. So yeah, so I ended up with, you know, between, it doesn't look like as much when it's tied up. You know, I have 60 of the little tags, and I have my index cards, my small, my large, and my guest tickets. So, and I have, you know, a rainbow of colors to pick from. And I mean, especially when you're baking paper, you get multicolors, even when you do a color. Like my tea, you know, what I do sometimes is I'll start out with a strong tea and dye so much, and then I'll add water to it to thin it down and dye, and then you'll get more of a spectrum of colors. So not everything's the same exact color. So, you know, you could, you know, make your tea and then put, you know, a cup of water in it, you know, do your pages, do another cup of water, do your pages, do another cup of water, do your pages, and by the time you get done, you know, it fades into where it's almost like a lighter, it's just a tea stained white almost, sort of an egg-shelly color. And you know, I like that too. There, you know, sometimes it calls for different colors. So, but these are my little guest checks and all that. Then with my tea dye, I did my fringe, and the only one I did fringe in was the tea dye, and the Battenberg lace I only did in tea dye. I did some of the little shirt that I showed earlier for that. I do some darker cheesecloth and then some lighter cheesecloth. I always do some lace, so I have some tea dyed, and then I usually do a doily. And this is one of the dollar store El Cheapo doilies. The lace, I usually just find, you know, whatever white lace that I want to use. Sometimes I'll get, you know, the generic white lace from Walmart or Hobby Lobby or, you know, Joann's, whatever's on sale, and use it. And then, like I said, the two different colors, just because, you know, when you're layering cheesecloth up, that makes a little bit of difference. So that was my tea dyed crate. And then I have, let's see, that's green. So let me find the green stuff. Okay. So then I did a little bit of green lace. You really can't tell because it didn't, for whatever reason, it didn't want to dye really good. And there's some more little green lace that I did. Let me see. I'm trying to get down here and then I did some of that, and it actually came out bluish looking, which is fine. This came out a purpley looking, so I think it just depends on the green. There's an, oh, that's a blue. And then I did a light green doily. Well, I cut the doily in half, and then I did the other half in a darker green. And the same thing with my cheesecloth. I did a really light green. Then I did this gorgeous wasabi green, and I fell in love with this. I love this. This is probably like the most favorite color in all the times I've made dyed cheesecloth. This has turned out by far my favorite. So I love it. So there's my green, and then I did blue. There's my doily and some lace. That lace. I did that lace. And that, it just turned out really, really light. And then there's my blue cheesecloth. So there's my blue. And I do this with each color, so I have some that matches with each color. There's my yellow. There's my little piece of yellow lace. Or, yeah, the lace. There's my yellow ribbon. And then my yellow cheesecloth. I don't use a whole lot of yellow, so I don't tend to dye a whole lot of it. And then my purple. There's my purple trim. Purple cheesecloth. There's my purple lace. Let's see. And then I did half of a doily with purple. Again, I use purple, but I tend to use certain colors more. So there's my pink doily. My baby pink cheesecloth. My pink lace. And then just my trims, my pink trims. So that's what I do as far as the fabric section. Okay? As far as that, I don't actually bleach any fabric or anything like that. I could definitely buy, you know, a white and do that. And then my paper. This is my pile of paper. You guys can't see this. Let me try to flip it. That's my paper. Yes, all of that. So I'll sort of flip through just a little bit so you can see. I'll start with the purple. So there's my purple. And again, it's just in a variation of colors. Some's darker, some lighter. There is some brown on some of it, so you know you have that aging look. Yeah, there's some where the purple came through really dark. So that's the purple. And that may look white to you. There you go. You can see the purple now. So there's the purple. And then there's the pink. And some of it's darker around the outside edges. Some of it came out really dark. Some of it comes out really light. So it just sort of, you know, depends. Some of it, you know, and I don't mind that. Because there's certain projects I would use that on. As a journal page, I'm probably not going to use this. On a tag or something, I would use it. My journal pages, I tend to like, you know, the more lighter. That's sort of too dark even for that. So, I mean, that's why I make a variety. Like, you know, that I would use for a journal page. And it's sort of got the aging around it just a little bit. So, I mean, that actually had some brown on it. So, I mean, yeah. That's my pink. And I may end up doing a darker pink, too. That's just happened to be what I did. Then I have my greens, and they go from light green to dark green. Some of it has yellow showing through. Some of it looks more blue. So it literally just depends. So there's a really dark, see that where that yellow really came through on the green there? And that just is, you know, there you can see the darker green around the edges. You know, there's more of the green coming through. So yeah, it just sort of depends. You know, there's some more of the darker green, you know, coming through on the edges. So that was the green. And just so I roughly did around, I think it's like, I'm a page short of 300 pages, maybe 300 pages. There's the blue. And it's just, the blue did really well. There are some areas where, you know, the blue's darker. You know, there's darker spots. You know, so it's more like of a cloud. But, I mean, that's a pretty dark blue. I mean, so there's the blue. And there's the yellow. And the yellow goes from lighter to some of the pages are darker. You know, some of it actually has the brown where it was, you know, and that just depends on, you know, I may have been, you know, doing something. So, yeah. You know, this colors vary. That one had a little, it stuck, but I went ahead and kept it because I can use it for a tag. You know, I love how it's got like the darker edges, the darker yellow around the edges. You know, there's some spotty. There's some dark yellow. You know, I love that page. I mean, seriously, that page is just, I like it. But I like that extremely distressed look. That just seems to be my thing. So, there's the yellow. And then in my tea dyed, I actually have two separate ones. I have what I call my dark batch. And this is the batch where I do the real strong tea. And you'll see, it's flattened these some already, and apparently that flipped up underneath there. So you'll see, there's the dark batch, and like, this isn't burnt. The tea was that dark. So like these I would use for like, you know, certain darker, or if I, you know, I'm looking just steampunk, Halloween, if I wanted like a sandy soil type look. See, some of it's really, really dark. So yeah. And I actually, you know, keep those because I use those. So I always do a set of dark. And then these are my standard tea dye, and they are, you can tell the difference. And you know, they range, you know, and again, different depending on how they baked and where they baked in the pan and all of that. So yeah, you know, when you get down to the bottom of these, you know, some of them are darker. There's some, you know, so it just varies depending on, you know, the amount of time that they were in, you know, exactly the amount of tea that was in there. But this was straight P&G tips is what I actually used for this. So, and I mean, you can see on the end the different variety of colors that's in there. So yeah, that's pretty much, you know, when I'm gonna do it, that's how I get it done. So I just wanted to come on and share with you guys. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.